Hey everybody, welcome to part 15 of building the R2-D2 from Fanhome. In this episode we're going to be covering stages 55, 56, 57, and 58. So more work to be done on the leg. We got that nice hefty motor to put in there. Over here we got a couple of panels for the head, this shell, one half of the shell for R2-D2's foot, and another leg component or foot component there. Here we've got another panel for R2-D2's dome. That's where that yellow and green light is going to be going in there. The sensor for the foot, and then the other half of the shell for the foot there. And then we have a really nice big panel here. That's where that LED light that we built earlier is going to go through. Those really cool copper braided tubes. I love those. And then the bottom part of his leg as well. Also included in this parts pack is a hat. Star Wars Build Your Own R2-D2. So this is very nice. We got a t-shirt on the last parts pack and a mug, and now we got a hat. I love all these freebies we get along the way. Here's the magazine for issue 55. On the inside here we got the Jabba's sail barge and more stuff. I bet that was pretty fun filming that out there. Look at that rig. Boy, amazing what they can construct for these movies. Droids, aqua droids. And let's see, automated shipping. That's cool, yeah. More and more robotic technology going into shipping and stuff like that. That's really cool. So we're going to be doing the left wheel drive motor now. We're going to be installing the other motor into R2's leg here. And so it's just kind of a repeat of what we were doing earlier. That motor is a nice hefty motor, I gotta say. Looks like we're going to be doing a little bit of wire management as well. And then maybe actually putting the leg together. A good portion of it. That's good, because I hate all these loose parts I got laying around. So that'll be a good thing. Here are the parts that we get for stage 55. So we got this nice hefty motor. It's got some nice weight to it right there. And a couple packets of screws. Alright, so let's get the leg out and start working on that. Alright, so taking out the left leg now, we're going to start putting this motor on. So the spindle here is flat on both sides of that right there. So we'll just match it up to the hole inside here. You have to make it go, let's see, which way do we have it here? To keep turning the wheel until we get it aligned. There we go. Alright, so now you have to have it at this, angle this way, and you can match up the holes. And we're going to use these silver long screws that they supplied with this. We're just going to screw these in here like that. Alright, and then we got one more here and then two up here. So let me get all those screws put on and we'll take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so the motor is now secured in place. So next we're going to take the wires that were supplied a couple of parts packs ago. It's this one right here. And you'll notice that on these ends there's a wide end and a narrow end. So we're going to take the wide one. And that's going to go into this connection point right here into the motor. Once again, we got these these little pins that are inside here. You have to match it up with the holes and make sure you do it right, because you don't want to bend those up, because the pins have got to be on one side of it. See if I can get a grip of this thing and put this in. Now I am not going to push this in all the way, because on the right leg, they make you take this out again. Because they want you to test the motor, and I don't know why we're not testing the motor now before we plug this piece in. So I'm not going to push it in all the way, because the last time when I had to pull this socket out on the right leg, I almost ruined these little things here. So we're just going to leave it loose, and then after we get done testing the motor, I'll put that in tighter. This other end has got to go through this little plastic thing here, this little loop that's always moving around. So we'll lace this through here. Okay, like this. Alright, and we got this nice little kink. Let's see if I can get that out of there. Alright, there we go. Boy, sorry about that. Alright, and then we have the other wire. This one came in another earlier parts pack. And once again, we have a wider end and a narrower end. So let's see, which one are we going to put in through here? The larger plug goes through here. And then this one here this is where we had to measure that. So this little loop, that's, where is it? Right here. There's a connecting loop right here. See that? That's where we're going to tie the wires down. You need to mark the wire 135 millimeters to the end. So I already marked it right here. You can see I put a little black Sharpie marker, and that's 135 millimeters from that loop to the very end right here. Alright, so we'll get ready to put the next part on. Okay, so now we got to tie these wires down. So we're going to start with this first loop right here. So now this wire needs to go flat. You need to push it down like this because there's going to be a cuff piece that goes on here. And even though the instructions don't necessarily show you that you need to do that, you definitely need to do that because once you put that piece on there, you're going to need this to be as flush as you can get it. So we'll get that flat here, and then this mark that I left on this wire right here, we'll put it up to where this clip is, like this, and then we're going to take these zip ties that they gave us from whatever stage that was. I tell you, sometimes they give you this stuff so early on you kind of forget what stage it was. So we're going to zip tie these down. Now let me get this started here. Okay. Alright, and then I'm going to put it down nice and tight here too. So let me get kind of get it going. Make sure this is flat, like that. Make sure you got that mark on that wire correctly. Right there, this should be good. Okay, and then we'll tighten this up like that. There we go. Alright, that should be right. And hopefully I got 135 millimeters. Let's see, 135. Yes, there it is. Okay, whew, good. At least I didn't mess that up. Alright, so let's get this nice and tight right here. Make sure that's nice and flush down there. And then we'll just clip that excess off right here. Now if I can recall, I need to keep this kind of off to the side because when you put the other part of the leg on, this little part of the zip tie is going to get in the way. So try to keep it off to the side. Alright, so now from here, we start doing all the wire management in here as well. So we're going to grab another one of these zip ties here. Get this one out of the way. Put it through here. And then let's get all this lined up. Goes right up the center. Keep everything nice and taut. Get this started like that. Alright, make sure we got everything. Oh, see, now we're starting to pull on this. Oh, and then this came out too. That's the problem with keeping that loose, but I guess I can put it on a little bit tighter. Okay, got to make sure that that is flat. That's just loose enough that if you need to slide it through there, that's good. You know, you don't need to make it so super tight. It's just mainly to keep it in place. Okay, now let's get this on here. Get that kink out of there. Okay, there we go. And then that should still be in the right spot. Okay, and then moving on to the next one. Yeah, okay. Alright, well this is going to be kind of tedious. I got to do this one and this one over here, so I'm just going to cut ahead so that way you don't have to watch me fumble with all of this. Alright, so everything is now tied down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this other part of the leg that we were working on earlier, and we're going to turn this around because we're going to put all these wires that we just got done messing with, and they're going to go into the hole on here. So just going to put these through here like this, feed them through. Alright, and then I want to keep this part down because these like to fall out, those things, because they're not really on there. And then we're going to put this piece right here. Make sure we don't kink any wires, get anything where it's crimped or anything. And then we're just going to put this on like this. Make sure that this thing is out of the way. This thing likes to get in the way a lot, I gotta tell you. Alright, so try to get this put on. There we go. Make sure everything's snapped into place. Alright, so now once that's in place, we can finally slide this thing up and get it out of the way. Slide it over this whole leg section here like this. There we go. Then we got this horseshoe piece, like they like to call it. And then that's going to go on here. So you got the pegs back here. Gonna put it on like that. You have to kind of hold it all kind of tight here. Then we're going to flip this over. Sorry about that. And all these holes are going to have these screws put in there. These are the little 6mm black screws. And we're going to put all these in here. So let's start with this one. Okay, at least we can finally get this put together because, man. Alright, so now there is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's at least 5 more. So let me get all those put on and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so it actually turns out there was 12. All 12 of these holes have to have the screws put in. So now this is finally in place firmly. You know, I actually, you know how I mentioned I would rather have these on the front rather than the back of the leg? I guess at this, you know, before you put all this together, I guess you could have just swapped these out with the other leg and that way you can have this up front, but I'm not really sure all the holes would match the same. So I'm just going to build it the way they said to build it, like, even though that does bother me. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn this over. And now we're going to take this piece. This is a part that we had done earlier. And we're just going to put these little posts, all the little posts in here are going to go into these holes here and down here as well. So let's go ahead and put this on like this. Let me line up everything here. There we go. That just slides in place like that. And then underneath this wire right here, there's a little, let's see if I can get down in here. See that little hole right here? We got to put a screw in there. So let's see if I can get that in there, because that's pretty tricky to get down in there. Oh, okay, good. Once again, one of those black screws that we used to put everything else together. Okay. Alright, then we're on to the next step. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take this back cover piece, and where that nice little pattern is, we're going to take these pieces that we built earlier, and then we're just going to snap these little pieces right here into these holes. So this just actually snaps in place. Just push on it, and they snap right in. Just like that. Fit them good and flush. And then you do the same for this one on this side. We have another one here. Let's see, it goes this way. The blue part goes up. Okay. And line up the holes. And there we go. Snapped in place. Love the way that looks. Okay, so now we're ready for the next section here. Now this is where this wire comes in place. This is why we had to push this straight down right here, because now we're going to put this part on and it's got to fit right up against there. So that's why you don't want this sticking too far out. Now on this piece you'll notice there's this little cutout right here. That's where the wires are going to come through. So let's try to get that in here, and you're just going to put these little lugs in here into these holes. So let's see if we can try to line everything up. And hopefully I can get the wires where they need to go. Let me get that over a little bit. Okay. Don't want to be pinching any wires in there. Let's see. Do I got them where they need to go? Looks like I do. Let's push that down. Oh yeah, that went right on, didn't it? Very cool. Alright, and then we're just going to take another one of these black screws right here and screw these into this panel into place. Okay, and then there is going to be 3 more screws right in there. So let me get all that put on. Okay, so that is all in place now. I have to say, sometimes these screws are not molded very well. It's almost like, you know, the Phillips head is, it's like they didn't cut out the actual, I don't know, the notches for the screw. I gotta say, I've messed up a couple of really good screwdrivers. See how this one's got a chunk out of it now? I've gone through, I don't know how many screwdrivers building this thing. So yeah, I wish the screws were made a little bit better. I've had a few that were just misformed or whatever. Alright, well anyway, that takes care of stage 55. Here's the magazine for issue 56, The Battle at the Sarlacc Pit. Ha, very cool. I've seen people on eBay selling pieces and parts of that Sarlacc Pit because I guess there's remnants of it left behind out there where they filmed it. Same with the Crate Dragon. Amazing that stuff is still out there after all these years. More of the animated series, prequel type stuff going on here. Never really got into any of those, or at least the animated series. Delivery robots, yeah, they keep trying to do some drones and stuff. I love those robots that deliver food and stuff that you see driving around. Those are really neat. Kind of cute too. Some airplane, model airplanes or something there. So dome panels and left foot parts. So we're going to be putting on some more dome panels on R2-D2, which is really cool. You know, I never noticed that R2-D2 has this chrome panel right there. For some reason, I always thought all of those little panels were blue, and it wasn't until I was building this that I realized, wow, there's actually a chrome panel on his dome, and I never noticed it. They're going to be doing the casing that goes around his foot. So, alright, well, that should be fun. More work to get done on that. Here are the parts that we get for stage 56. So we got the big piece of the foot right here. A nice metal panel, that chrome piece that I was talking about earlier. This little part that goes on the leg, this is where the cables are going to attach to on the power pack. This is a nice metal piece as well. And then a bunch of tape to add these to the dome. Alright, well let's get started on those. Alright, so we're going to start working on the dome again now. So this panel has got to go right here. So let's turn this around, and now we're going to start working on this tape again. So let's start with this one here. You know, I would really like to take the brown part off first, and then that would make it easier to take this off, because you got this little flap. But I tried peeling that off, and it just doesn't work that way. So I guess we're just going to have to do it the way we've been doing it. So let's start with that. And then we got to put 3 little pieces on here. So let me see if I can get this on just right. Okay. At least these are short, so they're easier to put on. Like that. Let's see, here's another one. This one might be a little trickier because it's got to fit in that really narrow spot right here, and it's got to go in there even. So you don't want any of this tape to hang over the edge, because otherwise you'll see it. Oh, okay, well actually that went in pretty good. Like that. And let me see, we got one more. Where is it? Here it is. Okay. Kind of fiddly. Try not to touch the tape. Then we'll put it down here on this bottom stretch. Got that a little bit crooked. Actually, it should be okay. It'll hang over enough. Alright, so just kind of push those in place. Don't bend the dome. And then I'm going to use tweezers to fight with this to get these off, but it's probably going to take a long time, so I'll just cut back. Okay, so there we go. We got all that backing tape off. So now let's flip this around. And this piece is really cool. And then, you know, I don't know why I didn't notice this, but the numbers should go on the top. Remember I was having problems with these the last time? Well, that's why. Because they have a certain shape to them. Alright, so let's see if I can, let me see, I'm going to have to pull back a little bit here. Okay, now let's see if we can line this up. You got to get these nice and even, because there's a little bit of a silver border around the blue details here. See if I can get in here just right. Okay. Seems like that's a little weird, isn't it? Alright, well, let's see. I really want to try to line these up right, because that tape is super sticky. Did I get it? I think that looks pretty good right there. Yeah, this might be a little bit over. Let me see. Try to get that more even. I got to tell you guys, I have a floaters in my right eye, and it actually distorts my vision. And so this kind of stuff I have a real hard time with because I actually almost get double vision because of it. And so, yeah, I have to really struggle with stuff like this. But let me see. I think I got it pretty even right there. Trying to get that top blue part so there's even amounts of space. Okay, right there. Ooh, man, that was tricky. Okay, let's push this down so it stays in place. Yeah. So yeah, I have a really hard time with that kind of stuff. Okay, now on to the next panel. Okay, so to save you guys the wear and tear, watch me fiddle around with that tape. I already got it on there. So now let's flip this around and we're going to put this chrome panel on. Once again, the numbers go on top. So yeah, I'm still amazed at this chrome panel. I still don't know how I did not ever notice that R2 has a chrome panel on here. I always thought this was blue. Okay, let me see if I can get this right. Sorry for the light reflection, but I have to kind of look at it with the light reflection to make sure I got all the borders right on here. Okay, oh yeah, that looks good. Alright, yeah, very bright light there. Okay, so just kind of push this into place here. Okay. Yeah. Nice. That's cool. Look how shiny that one is compared to the others. So that's what we got going on there. Oh man, I love these. These panels are looking really good. Okay, so getting back to the foot now, we're going to take this outer piece. It's going to fit on this metal plate here. We got these posts that stick up here. Those are going to align with these holes here. So we're just going to put this on and make sure everything goes on good and straight. And you'll notice this little notches right in here. That's got to go and align with that. So let's get all this put on. Oh, that fit right on there, didn't it? Nice. Okay, we can see how that looks. And then we got some screwing of some screws to do here, and that is going to be right there. The same black screws that we've been using to put this in. See if I can do this at this awkward angle here. And hopefully I don't strip out this screwdriver. It's been not the easiest thing. Okay, so we got that one here, and then we got another one that goes right here, so let me get those put on. Alright, so that is now in place right there. And then the last thing we got to do on this stage is we got this little coupler for those cables. This goes right in this slot, and it only fits one way, so it just drops right in there. Okay, so that completes all the parts for stage 56. Here's the magazine for issue 57, Into the Woods. That must have been when they were filming Return of the Jedi there. That was a great segment with those speeder bikes. I remember watching that in the theaters when that movie first came out. It was really cool. What is that? IG 100 Magna Guards. Wow. Yeah, I don't really, like I said, I don't really read a lot of this stuff. I mainly like the magazines for the instructions, of course. And the instructions usually consist of only a couple of pages. Alright, so dome panel and left foot parts. Doesn't look like there's going to be too much to do on this one. We have just one dome panel to put on, and that little sensor that we had to mess with on the last video, and then also the other half of the foot casing. I'm so glad to be getting more of the legs done, so that's great. Here are the parts that we get for stage 57. So this is the other half of the boot that goes on R2's foot. Nice metal panel here. Some tape to put that on, and then this is the other sensor for the bottom of the foot. Alright, well let's get started on these. Okay, back to work on the dome now. So I went ahead and put the tape on here so you don't have to suffer watching me put that on. I will say that the tape that goes on right in this area is tricky because you got to get it between these holes and there, and you don't want it sticking out on either this edge or into the holes. So I had a little bit of wrinkling going on, but finally managed to get it on there. So now we're going to put the next panel on. So the numbers once again on the top. Let's try to fit this in here. Line up the that silver frame. And try to get this all nice and square on here. See, do I got it? I really want to make sure I got these perfect, because if you don't, you're going to be looking at it imperfect for the existence of little R2 here. Alright, yeah, that looks good. But see how there's like this little border around here, and there's even a ridge under that? You got to get that even all the way around. So it's kind of tricky, it really is. Okay, and then we just kind of push this into place here. Okay. I think there's going to be a couple of black things that go in these little holes right here. Must be some kind of a sensor or something for R2. Alright, very nice, very nice. So there's the next panel. That's where that yellow and green light are going to flash on the back of his head. Okay, so back to the foot now. A lot of back and forth going on here. So now we're going to put that little sensor down in here. That's this little piece right here. So the other leg had that white, or I'm sorry, that clear piece of plastic in there that raised these up just a little bit. But this one doesn't seem to have that. Hopefully we won't have to take this apart again. But we fit this right in here like this. Alright, and then we just take one single screw to hold this in. Like that. Hopefully they don't make us take this apart again, because I really don't like when we have to do that. The Enterprise had a major problem with that. We were constantly taking things apart that we already put together. Okay, let's see, that's a little loose. Don't want to tighten that too tight, because you don't want to crack the circuit board there. Okay, let me put this down. Pardon me if the angle isn't the best, but I really have to try to get this in just right. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, there we are. So that is right where it needs to be. Okay, on to the next step. Alright, so now we're going to take this cable and we're going to plug this into the little sensor right here. So once again, match up the pins to the holes here. Let me see what we got. So the pins go, it's going to go this way. Okay. Let's see if I can get this in here. Probably could have made this cable just a slight bit longer, but I think we'll be alright. Okay, good, that popped right in. Okay, and then the next part is this. We're going to put this other half of this thing in. So when we do, we got to make sure we route this around these two parts right here and here, because when this goes on, you don't want that in the way, because we got to match them up to these big things sticking out right here. So let's put this on and make sure we get the wires out of the way here. Try to get it around. Okay, there we go. Did I do it? Yeah, okay. See how they go around the outside of these things? And then over here you got to worry about all this going on. See, here's that wire. Once again, that's good that we have that going down flat. And let me see, do we have it lined up now? That's the big question. Let me see what we got going on over here. Make sure nothing's getting caught in there. Sorry about that. It's hard for me to see what I'm doing. Oh, I see. We got this wire trapped up here. Let's see. Maybe I gotta push that in more, I guess. Okay, let's try that. And then we got to try to get it around. Boy, that's something else. Okay, let me just see if I can fight with this, because that's going to take some doing. Okay, got it all on there. That was a little tricky. There's a wire, the wire to that sensor. You have to make sure it kind of goes around here so it doesn't get caught down in here. And at the same time, you got to make sure it goes around these inner things here to keep them out of the way. And you got to make sure that this silver thing on this side is getting notched into that side as well. So there's a lot of things you have to kind of keep an eye on as you're putting all this together. I don't remember having that much trouble with the other leg. Alright, so once again, these black fitting screws are going to hold this all together. So we'll just put this in here. And there's going to be 4 of these. Okay, so let me do the other 3 on here, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's all done. Okay, so there it all is put in place. Nice and straight, nice and tight, everything should be good to go. Let's hope. Alright, on to stage 58. Here's the magazine for issue 58. Filming in the forest. Looks like they're continuing on about filming Return of the Jedi. The Ewoks. Our first introduction to the Ewoks. I don't know, I'm kind of half and half on the Ewoks. They are cute, but I don't know, I kind of felt they made the movie a little too cutesy, but I don't know. They are pretty beloved. There is BB-8. God, what a cool little robot he is. I've seen some of those at conventions, and man, they're a sight to behold. The people that make the full-size working BB-8s, wow. Hats off to them. Because they're really cute. The way they puppeteer them, it's really, really amazing. Oh, that's neat. What is that? Cobots. Man, I tell you, technology is amazing. We're getting so advanced with a lot of this stuff. It's really cool. I love it. Alright, dome panel and left foot parts. So another large dome panel that goes on R2. Interesting, they don't kind of do a step-by-step here. They just kind of tell you to put it on. Funny how they kind of skipped over that. And then we're going to put the bottom panel on the foot. And then that's it for this one. So there's not going to be much to do in this one either. Here are the parts that we get for stage 58. So we got the bottom panel for R2's foot. We got these two cables. I love these things. These are the braided copper cables for the power pack for R2. Looks just like the real deal. It's amazing. These we won't use these just yet. We're going to use those probably on the next step. Another really nice metal panel here. I love that silver trim that they did on there. That looks really, really good. Some tape to put those on and some more black screws. Alright, so back to work on the dome now. So once again, to save you from watching me struggle with this tape, I went ahead and put it on already. Now I will say that the tape that goes on the upper part right here, let's see, which one am I on here? Yeah, this one. So I actually had to cut it in half because that long piece will not make the curve because of that indent, the way this is curved like that. That's a straight piece of tape and it's just not going to fit right. So I cut it in half, and that way you just do this part and then that part, and that way you can kind of get it to where it's supposed to go. Another issue that I've noticed is that this piece, it's either this piece or the dome, and I'm guessing it's probably the dome, is a little out of round. I'm guessing that this dome got a little smushed on this side so that it's sticking out over here. Because when I put this on, there's a bit of a gap. So anyway, I'm going to try to put this on, and then I'll show you what I mean. Unless the tape holds it together, I don't know. But let me see if I can get this on here. These are always a little bit tricky, getting these panels on. Okay, yeah, see, that's going to be fine right there. But see how there's a gap right here? See this? Now let me see if I can try to smush that down. Actually, we're not even on this side. Okay, yeah, this might take a little more fighting. So let me cut here, and I'll show you what it looks like when I got it on. Okay, so I managed to get it on, and thankfully there is no gap, but that's only because that tape is holding it. I don't know how long that tape is going to hold it, but this part of the dome is kind of sticking out more this way, and so I have a gap between the blue panel and right in here. Now, the tape is holding it together, and same with the top here. So I hope that that's not going to be a problem later, but I think when we get that black big core that goes on the inside here that we were working on earlier, hopefully that'll hold everything together, because I think there's some screws that you put on that kind of holds everything together. But hopefully that tape is strong enough to keep that in shape, and then maybe it'll kind of form that back the way it's supposed to. But there was definitely kind of a bend on here sticking out this way that kind of put this thing out of round. But at least we got that panel on there, and there's going to be another LED light that goes in there. Alright, now let's finish up the leg. Okay, so finishing off the little boot section here of R2's foot, we're just going to put this final panel on here. So we just put it on to make sure these holes go with the little sensors here. Line up everything like this. Let me see. There we go. Make sure everything's on. Okay. Alright, and then we're just going to take the same black fitting screws and put those in here. It's nice to get all this work done on the legs, because I'm kind of tired of working on the legs. Okay, very good. So now I just got 5 more to put on. I'll show you what that looks like when it's all done. Okay, there we go. That completes stages 55, 56, 57, and 58. Really got a lot done on this one. This is really a really good substantial part of this build, which was really nicely done. So yes, we've got a lot more panels on R2's head now. These ones here, I like that chrome one. I'm still I'm still shocked about that. These other panels right here. So we're getting a lot of this filled in. We still got a lot to go, but we're really getting there. So far that tape is holding up right there. I hope that continues to do that. I'm really glad to get a good portion of this leg finished. As I said, I'm kind of getting tired of working on the legs. You know, I think it's good, 2 of them, you got twice as much stuff to do on it. You can see it looks really good. I mean, once again, the parts to this model is just great. I absolutely love it. I'm hoping we don't have to take this off again to put that piece of plastic in for the sensors like we had to do for the other leg. If we did, I would think we would have had it by now. Since this is the second run of this kit, I would think that they would have known to include that beforehand, but you never know when it comes to these things. But yeah, really making some progress. Glad to get all these parts put together. I had all this stuff laying around, all those separate parts, and then we're just going to have to get the power pack put on here, and then we can put those cables on and everything else. But I am really, really loving this kit. Glad to be able to keep getting parts. As I mentioned, actually at this point, I should be up to stage 70. I had that horrible delay of almost 6 months of not getting any parts, and it was really frustrating. It wasn't until Wayne from the YouTube channel World of Wayne came to my rescue, thank goodness. I don't know what he did, but he got the ball rolling on these parts again, and but I'm still, at this point, I'm still about 4 months behind on this kit because of that delay, which is really frustrating because I should be a lot further along at this point. But nevertheless, at least we're making progress, and I'm really glad. But I hope you're enjoying this series, and if you are, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'd really appreciate that. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. So have a good one.